It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I'm telling you, I can't even get past the headlines.
Yeah.
Here's one of my favorite ones, all right, from yesterday.
Okay.
Mamdani promised things that were simply impossible when running for high school vice president. Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani, the current frontrunner in New York's mayoral race, appears to have been pushing pie-in-the-sky policy promises since high school. Now, don't think that this is conservatives going after him or Republicans.
Right, yeah.
A recent profile in the New York Times noted how Mamdani first entered politics in high school when he ran for student body vice president at the elite Bronx High School of Science, promising impossible programs like fresh juice from locally sourced fruit. Now, that's a hell of a lot of a difference than when I went to high school. And what was the president and the vice president, the presidential and vice presidential candidates for the student body, what were they promising? What were they going to work for when I went to high school?
Weed?
Smoking lounges.
It was close. With me, we didn't have a student president. We had a rule. Whoever holds the conch gets to talk.
King of the Hill?
That was pretty much it.
Okay. That's
Lord of the Flies. Yeah.
His bid. This is in the New York Times.
Yeah.
We might as well do stupid stuff because I don't know about you, but yesterday I went, same argument. Been there, done that 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Same argument 1,000 times. Same argument 1,000 times. Same response because it's the same stupid argument or debate point you're trying to put at me. Stupid. So I just went, let's just look at some of the stupid headlines to start the show.
Well, I think it's interesting that the New York Times did that piece on Mamdani because, they're afraid that if he wins, then they'll be forced to be a voice for the government. Oh, wait. They're already a voice for the liberal left. I think people are nervous in New York City because what's weird is the polls don't seem to be shifting much at all. And it's as if, oh, wait, election day's almost here. This might actually happen. And I saw some of that over this past weekend where people were like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, but... And there was a poll that goes back a few weeks, actually, where Democrats who are still going to vote for him, there's no way they're not, were saying, yeah, but he's a little too communist. And I'm thinking to myself, but you're going to vote for him. You know you're going to vote for him.
His bid for student vice president at the elite Bronx High School would ultimately crater with his wayward pledge of fresh juice for all squeezed from locally sourced fruits, noted the New York Times. You cannot make this stuff up.
Locally sourced fruits.
But he did organize the first cricket team.
Yeah.
Wow. I did see the polling. I don't know if you saw that it said that he cuts it in half. He still has Mamdani has still even in the latest poll, the Suffolk poll has 44%. He's always stayed at 44, 45, or 46%.
Yeah, right.
That hasn't changed. He hasn't moved
right.
from the margin of error.
Right.
Anything that Cuomo, or Sliwa picked up was because Adams dropped out.
Yeah. Right.
But
that was the only movement.
Right. He hasn't lost any of his support.
No.
And you see some of the headlines of the polls are trying to, I don't know whether they're trying to push it to say, all right, it's getting closer. Well, of course it was going to get closer when Adams dropped out.
Right.
We all knew that.
Right.
And as we stated, and we did state a few weeks ago, when Adams went out, we said, well, this is the possibility.
Mm-hmm.
But if Cuomo picks up all of it or whatever, he would get within, 10, 11 points, and that's what it shows, 10 points right now, 34% for Cuomo, 44% for Mamdani. But still, that's in the margin of error of all the different polls out there.
Mm-hmm.
So it really hasn't changed.
No, it hasn't.
Now they say early voting, it's a lot of old people going out, which is not the demographic that's going to be voting for Mamdani. So who knows? But the polls, there hasn't been this drastic shift in the polls. That just isn't there. I know you've got a ton of people in New York City trying to push that when they see it, but the fact is that's not the case.
Right. No, it hasn't moved.
Yeah.
And it's likely not going to. He's going to be the next mayor. The only thing that can change that is if he drops out, which is not going to happen.
Well, you and I have said this. We really believe that if liberals want to get what they want, then they should be practicing federalism.
Mm-hmm.
They should be practicing, instead of trying to get the whole country to go their way, we believe you should do what you're doing. If you wish to make New York City communist, make New York City communist.
Right.
If you wish to make California, Illinois, and New York as socialist communist, as democratic socialists, I love that one. We got to throw the dem. Eventually, they're going to have to get rid of democratic sooner or later. There's somebody's going to get upset on the left.
Yeah.
Look, we got to take democratic out of it. Come on.
Right.
We can't pretend that we're democratic anymore. Let's just stop it.
Well, the party, it again, is at this threshold because he's going to win. And like with Hochul, you can't ignore him. The party can't ignore him. It finally got the while we were on vacation, finally got the Hakeem Jeffries. I don't know. Would you call that an endorsement? The statement didn't sound like a full-on endorsement. Way to jump in like 2.5 weeks out. But this is where we are. The party has to be at that threshold of, or is at that threshold of having to make that choice. All right. He wins. He's the mayor of New York City. You're not going to ignore him. The Democrats could ignore Adams, because he went against, Sanctuary City. It goes to the courts. This actually happened. As mayor, and said, "Save us from our own Sanctuary City policy." And the court said, no. And that, of course, bought him a one-way ticket to where he is now. Right. And I said that then. He's not going to have a second term. And I was right. And that's because his own party's not going to stand for that. Mamdani is going full-on commie. Now, the party, I don't know if their rev limiter, if we're doing race cars, was set that high yet. But he's going there, and he's going to win. And so they've got to decide if they want to move up that rev limiter and go, all right, we're full commie. I guess we're commie.
Well, we have said this many times before. And in fact, when we talk about the shutdown again, because that seemed to have heated up yesterday.
Yeah.
The rhetoric on that. I did read a story where Jeffrey said, well, actually, the subsidies that we want are not spending.
Yeah. Yeah.
The taxpayer dollars that will go to the subsidies, we don't consider spending.
Right.
So it's like, okay, let's just pretend that spending isn't spending anymore.
Right.
Nothing means anything.
Right.
Anymore. But it all gets, we have said, liberals, if you wish to get what you want, do it through your states.
Mm-hmm.
make your state as socialist communist as you want.
Yes. Yes.
It's much easier to do that, except for one thing, and this gets down to the absolute basics. When you cut through all the BS that's out there right now, the whole thing with the budget is about one thing right now, and the continuing resolution. Democrats do not want to pay the cost of health care.
No.
That's it.
Right.
That's what it's all about. Democrats sit there and claim that they care and they wish to take care of everybody. It's the biggest lie in the world. We have the evidence. When it came to California, Colorado, or Vermont, trying to get a state health care system where the taxpayer would pay for it all, every single state, including socialist Vermont, fell by the wayside. Why? Because nobody wanted to pay for it.
Nobody cares about your health care.
Right. Bernie Sanders doesn't.
They don't care.
They don't care about it. All they care about is they don't want to pay for it. The reason they go to the federal government, the reason they will not embrace federalism, because it's there for them. They can create their nirvana state.
They could have taxed big oil at the same time and said we're going to pay for it in our state by taxing big oil.
Right.
Now, that would have been a problem because effectively that's taxing the consumer. But they could have done it.
They could have done it. They could have passed health care in California, in Colorado, and in Vermont, and they did not do it. Why? Because they didn't want to pay for it. And this is what it comes down to when you cut through all the BS. Democrats do not want to pay for health care. They want taxation without when they sit there and talk about democracy, the one of the most immoral things we've done in this country is taxation without representation, and we found the loophole. Let's tax future generations. Let's add on to the debt. So Democrats want health care. They just don't want to pay for it. They want their children, their grandchildren, and their great-grandchildren to pay for it. Please, someone tell me where I'm wrong. The evidence exists. California, Colorado, Vermont. Democrats can create their nirvana socialist state anywhere they want. Well, not anywhere they want, but I mean where they want it.
Well, remember.
And they won't do it because they don't want to pay for their nirvana. They want somebody else to pay for it.
Remember AOC on NPR. NPR was correcting her going, well, you're borrowing money. Well, we call that deficit spending. Well, that's borrowing money. Right. Well, we say deficit spending. She was fighting because in the past, Democrats have gotten away with that. But we'll just call it deficit spending. We'll just call it spending. We'll call it investment. That's a good one. We'll call it investment. And they believe that and for a while, for the longest time, they got away with it. And then over 9% inflation, the highest inflation for a generation hits, and everybody goes, oh, yeah, maybe we shouldn't be spending like this. Doesn't matter.
Well, temporarily.
If they had the votes right now, if they had the seats in the House and the Senate, God help us.
Well, even Mamdani, when you go to Mamdani, how does he want to pay for all the free stuff that he wants for New York City?
He wants the state to pay for it.
Right. He doesn't want New York City to pay for it. He wants people from Buffalo, Syracuse, Rochester, Albany, Schenectady, Glen Falls. That's where they play the basketball championships, so I figured I'd throw in Glen Falls. Salamanca. Throw in Ellicottville, the Aspen of the East, Olean, Corning, Binghamton. Let's go through the entire state. They want everybody else to pay for what they want.
And how are they going to pay for it? Let's go Bills.
Right.
According to Hochul.
All right, let's cheer. Big game come Kansas City won, Buffalo won. Big game next week, one of the late Sunday afternoon games. Let's cheer for those Bills. Here we go. You ready? Tax the rich. Tax the rich.
Oh,
if anybody didn't hear about it.
Oh, my gosh. That was a horrible lie.
Hochul was getting harassed by all the Mamdani people screaming, tax the rich, tax the rich. And she said, I thought they were saying, let's go Bills.
Yeah. Yeah. What a horrible lie. If you're going to be a liar, be a good liar. Be a better liar. Wow. Because you just sound that's the whole "Let's Go Brandon" thing.
I'm going to say the next
really
Bills
is.
cheer. Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
Well, that's a general manager's name.
There you
Brandon
go.
Bean.
Well, there you go. Why didn't she use that? That's a better one. It's already proven.
I thought I was cheering for the general manager of the Bills.
Yes. That's what everybody was
She
doing.
uses the Bills. Trump probably wouldn't be president if he bought the Bills.
Yes.
The
we
Bills,
can tie it all together.
You can tie everything.
It's the Bills' fault.
Everything.
There. We fixed it.
In my life, it has been. 866-90-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller. Due to safety concerns, many motor carriers have policies that limit or prohibit the use of cruise control. You should only use it in good driving conditions, during daylight hours, and on roads that have light traffic, few curves or hills, and a consistent speed limit. Never use cruise control when operating in adverse driving conditions, including wet, icy, or slippery roads, during rush hour in heavy traffic or on congested highways, at night, or when you're tired or fatigued. You want to be controlling and adjusting your speed as you drive instead of having to suddenly brake if you encounter an obstacle. In the case of a slippery road surface, you want to be able to slow your vehicle by not accelerating instead of using the brakes whenever possible. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Just a reminder, I just want to remind everybody, whenever I tell stories about my great-nephew, what I'm actually talking about is my third cousin, 5 times removed on my mother's side.
Yeah.
So just so you know.
Right. That's another one.
Mamdani thing yesterday. And we had said it because we had seen it on social media where he was saying his aunt, and people were saying, his aunt didn't live in the United States at that point after 9/11.
Right.
That's not true.
Right.
She wasn't even living in this country, and he got caught at it and then said it was, third cousin removed for his father's side that was dead. And the fact that it was brought up, the fact that somebody fact-checked him on it shows how bad Islamophobia is in New York.
Yeah. We say you can't make this stuff up, but he apparently is.
Yes.
And he's proving that you can make it up and still not move in the polls at all. That's he's a liar. He's promising things that aren't going to happen. Communism and all this, blue sky stuff. Can we say blue sky? This is what they're voting for. This is what they want. This is what is going to happen in New York City. That's the guy that's going to win. That's insane. And all we can do is sit back and watch. When you and I talk about whether it's a city or another state, a blue city, most cities are blue. But you look at them and you say, all right, they're like California. California is a great state. Imagine if they had pro-growth policies in California that made it less expensive for people to live, less expensive for business to be conducted, all of that. Imagine it would lift all the other states. We've always said that, but we can't change votes.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. They didn't say it was directly related to the shutdown in any story that I read, but you saw there was a ground delay yesterday. Went up to 10 o'clock, at least at DFW.
Yeah.
Yesterday. Anywhere from like 18 to 72 minutes. Ground delay because of staffing shortages.
This is something that's been going on for a while. I remember one of the air traffic control situations going back a couple of weeks, that staffing shortage had been growing for several months. But that's been going on basically in the airline industry for a while now. And, it happened at different levels. My experience, just limited experience, I only fly a few times a year. But it's, at different levels, whether it's baggage handlers or I don't think I ever ran into a air traffic control situation in terms of shortages.
Austin had them for a
fuel.
while.
The people that work on the actual flight line. There have been some pretty good shortages, and then the hours of service for pilots, which had run into problems and created shortages, after COVID, and everything slowed down greatly, and you had a lot of those pilots that had been around for a while. They retired, and then, I think a lot of them got package deals when they retired.
Yeah, I believe this was, that the one, because I have not heard of anything because of air traffic control at DFW.
No.
This was the first,
No,
and that's why the question would be: is this staffing shortage because of sick outs or whatever because of the shutdown?
Yeah, so you get then to the shutdown, and that was all right. The sick out thing started, and at a couple of airports. I want to say Denver had a shortage for a day or two or something. But anyway, this is what happens during a shutdown.
LAX did.
And LAX, after the Burbank airport, which was air traffic control related. But the sick outs are going to continue until the government opens. That's just the way it's going to happen. It's going to, and who knows, one Texas lawmaker saying over the weekend they expect it to go to Thanksgiving. Well, Thanksgiving week is going to be a nightmare then at airports. So I don't know.
I noticed that the pressure was up yesterday. You had that one union come out and really go after it and say, look, you got to open it up. The one thing that the Republicans have done, and we mentioned this yesterday briefly, is one thing Republicans have done right is the fact that they keep putting out legislation to pay certain people.
Mm-hmm.
And once they got to the point over the weekend of saying, here's the bill to pay all the essential employees that need to be paid, the military, essential employees, air traffic controllers, to make sure that they get their. Once the Democrats did that and said, nope, we're not going to pass this, that's when I said I believe the pressure's going to start this week. And it started yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I think we've been saying for a couple of weeks, we're not at peak flying season, but the more that you affect people's lives, then obviously the greater the pressure.
Well, food stamps could be gone this Saturday?
Yeah.
And so that's going to up the pressure. And the Republicans, by putting out more votes saying, all right, if you don't want to open it up, fine, let's pay these people. Let's pay the government employees. And the Democrats are saying no.
Right.
It's not Democrats coming up and saying, let's pay the employees, but keep the shutdown going because we're still want to negotiate for this. It's like, nope.
Yeah.
And so let's get to some of the audio cuts. But still, we're going to get through all the audio cuts, but nobody is still cutting through all the BS. That's what we've done here. We cut through the BS. The only reason this is going on is because Democrats do not want to pay for what they want now.
No.
For health care.
No, they don't.
It's that simple. They don't want to pay for it. And the evidence is California, Colorado, and Vermont all had the opportunity to put in liberal statewide health care paid for the state. No one did it. Why? Because nobody wanted to pay for it. The only way that, and you see it, Mamdani, all this free stuff. Well, who's going to pay for it? You admit New York City can't pay for it. If New York City can't pay for it, who's going to pay for it? Well, the state of New York's going to pay for it then. Yeah. Everybody else that doesn't live in New York should take care of New York City.
Right.
And and so this is where they are right now, and this is what you see. Democrats, you have the opportunity to create your own nirvana. You've got geographical regions in the country to do so. Why don't you do it? You can do it. You can go and you can do it. Why? They don't want to do it because they're selfish. That's what it comes down to. People are selfish. Democrats are selfish. You have the ability to do it in your state. You won't do it. The only reason you pick on the federal government is you know that they can borrow money from future generations.
Yep.
The height of selfishness and irresponsibility is what is driving this shutdown right now. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because everybody talks about, well, we've got to help. Who pays for the damn thing? We don't want to talk about that.
And, here's the thing. They're not even – the Democrats of the past tried to appeal to the people. They really went out and, look, we're trying to get all this stuff for you. We're trying to get whatever it is that we're fighting for. This time it's like the effort is, nah, we just don't want to do it. We just don't want to do it.
And you live in these states that have all these rich people. They've got all these large corporations.
Mm-hmm.
The Democrats absolutely control it. They were screaming at Hochul yesterday, tax the rich, tax the rich, tax the rich, tax the rich.
They've got the votes.
Why won't Democrats tax the rich?
They've got the votes.
You can create your own nirvana in California, in Illinois, the heaven of human existence, California, Illinois, New York, full socialism. The rich pay for it all. Everything is why won't you do it?
You got the votes.
Why won't you do it?
You can't say Republicans are blocking you.
Republicans aren't blocking you from doing it. Why don't you do it? Because you'd have to pay for it yourself. It would impact you yourself, and you're selfish, and you want other people to pay for what you want now.
That's going to be Mamdani's move. Once he's mayor, it's going to be the push is going to be on.
Well,
hey, we have the votes. The state could do this, and they're not doing it for you. They're not doing it for you. I'm pressing to get it done. Hochul won't get it done.
Right.
Hochul won't lead her own party to get it done.
And that's why the Mamdani people, that's the whole Buffalo Bills thing. Oh, I thought they were saying, let's go Bills, when they were screaming at Hochul, tax the rich. Yeah. They're not saying tax the rich of New York City. They're saying tax the rich of New York State. Tax everybody in New York State.
Tax the Bills.
Right, tax the Bills. Add on an extra 50% to those personal seat licenses to go.
That's right.
For free everything.
Jerry Jones can show you how to do that.
All the free stuff in New York City can be paid for by everybody across the state that doesn't live in New York City.
Yes.
That won't receive any of the benefits.
Right.
It's obvious what's going on. Republicans, speak up. Talk about the selfishness. Forget about playing the same stupid game with Democrats each and every day. Stop it. Get right down to what it is. It's pure selfishness from Democrats who don't want to pay the bill today. They have no concern about paying the bill today. And Mamdani is absolutely transparent. I want the rest of New York to pay for what I want. California, Illinois, New York, the bastion of liberalism, had the opportunity to create a state-funded health care system where the government takes care of everything. Not one of them did it. Why? Because nobody wanted to pay for it. They only want to do it on the federal level so they can borrow the money from future generations because they're selfish. our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, let them deal with the bill. The height of immorality and selfishness from Democrats. Lay it on the line, Republicans. Stop playing their stupid game and talk about, because everybody says, saw yesterday, well, liberalism is failing, so they're going to communism. It's the same old damn thing. Nothing's changed.
Right. Yeah.
They may be communist. They may be socialist, but so were the people before them. They just didn't label themselves that way because they knew if they labeled themselves that way, they couldn't win an election.
Yeah.
Now you can.
Yeah. Come on.
But it's the same thing that they're promoting.
Yep.
And the evidence is there. Mamdani is clear on it. We saw what happened in California, Illinois, New York with health care. This whole thing is about taking money and borrowing money to pay for an Obamacare plan that's a complete failure, that was never the Affordable Health Care Act. It's the, you've seen that now, the Unaffordable Health Care Act, where the premiums are skyrocketing.
And they're not going to be going down ever.
No.
That's always going to be a great increase in them, which means somebody else pays down the road. Your kids, great-grandkids, oh, wait, we've quit having kids. Oh, crap.
And my fear was a story that I saw last week. I believe it was the Wall Street Journal that said, well, once Republicans get past this, there is a movement from the Republicans to actually continue the subsidies. So there you go. It's like, well, then what the hell was this all about?
No, I mean, that's what I've assumed. I assume that.
Yeah.
I assume that. You're not going to take them away. It's not going to happen. This is 2016, 2017, all over again. 2016, we're going to gut Obamacare. It's going to be gone. All of it's gone. 2017, we're not going to gut all of it. Because their constituents started screaming. And you can't do that. That requires pain. Doing something that is good for the economy, for the government, for the taxpayer, is going to require pain, and we're not going to go through that pain.
Well, let's first Republicans start calling, number one, if you're going to go along with this, then all you're simply saying is, okay, we're just going to be we're going to be irresponsible at just a slower pace than the Democrats.
Yeah.
We're just going to
just slightly slower.
Right, just slightly slower.
Yeah. That's it. It's just that's where we've been. Again, Chip Roy earlier this year, seemed to be the only one at the microphone on the floor, screaming, and then he voted for 3 times. 3 times. Okay.
And we saw overall spending for the fiscal year as it ended. Again, not all Trump, but it was still over $200 billion greater than the year before.
Yeah.
So we're not lowering spending. Doge was except for maybe hopefully some more efficiencies, was a complete failure as to what they claimed they were going to do, cut $2 trillion, $1 trillion, and we said stop it. And we were criticized by Republicans for being negative, and we said, no, we're just realists. We don't live in a delusional dream world.
Right.
If Democrats wish to put you in a delusional dream world, they've done it for a significant period of time. If Republicans wish to do it, we're also going to fight back against that, too.
Right.
If they've said, well, it works for Democrats, so let's be delusional, too, and throw out these figures that will never happen, we're going to call them on it. And if we get flack, we don't care. We're too old to care about that.
Keep that Doge T-shirt, though. It might be a collector's item one day.
But when it ends up, we were right. Yep. And I'm not saying that in an egotistical way at all.
No.
It's just, it was obvious you weren't going to do it. Don't live in a delusional world if you're a Republican.
Right.
Don't say, well, delusion has worked for the Democrats. Let's do the same thing. 866-90-RED-EYE.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We're Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Saw Amazon going to let go, 30,000 employees?
Yeah. It's part of their actually long-term plan. There was another story last week that shows the plan at Amazon is to automate a number of the jobs. They're going to use robotics. I think that was widely known that was coming.
AI, yeah.
And so as you get into like the warehouse situation, but these latest layoffs are, the some of the more white-collar jobs at Amazon, but with more AI coming into the mix, I would expect more of the same.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I don't know why, but it's just, there's so much BS going on that that term, just for some reason today, I'm just focused on a lot, just trying to cut through all the crap that's out there because there's a ton of crap. I'm reading this here from The Nation, which is the nation's longest liberal publication. Mm-hmm. Will the Democratic Party keep learning the wrong lessons? And this is a guy who interned for John Tester's campaign in Montana. All right. And talked about the fact that, he's the kind of guy who should be able to win, right? He was a moderate and everything else. And and talking about that they actually did one thing one time where they had this get together to go after the opposition and talk about the fact that Tester was an authentic citizen of Montana and, cared about the land and everything else.
Yeah.
And he said, there we were publicizing that we've got the people from Billings. They were out there protesting. He said, well, there was like 30 people and 20 of them were from Tester's office. He goes, really, there was nobody there.
Yeah.
And it said, what they were talking about didn't resonate with anybody.
Right, yeah.
Well, if you want to look, and then so there's this great debate now, well, populism versus this and, AOC's popularity and what's going on with Mamdani and all this, and maybe we need to get back to the populism. Maybe we need to. Well, Mamdani isn't a populist.
No.
Mamdani is absolutely the most liberal socialist you could imagine, and they're going back talking about, well, when Obama ran, he was a populist. No, he wasn't.
Well, not that free stuff isn't popular, but it's not populist.
Right. Well, it's
communist.
Well, it's not. But I think the whole thing that they're talking about, we get into this politispeak, as I call it.
Yeah.
Which is just more BS. Why did the Democrats lose? Let's talk in regular people language. Was it the populism versus the capitalist narrative versus the Keynesian narrative? Blah, 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 blah. No. It's because Tester represented, if you want to talk about Montana, Tester would not go against the insanity of the Democratic Party and the insane things that they were trying to get people to believe. Mm-hmm. People are getting sick of being BS'd. Mm-hmm. They're getting sick of being lied to. They're getting sick and tired of being told. Many people are, not all. There are still people that want to be BS'd. As Dad told me, you're always going to find these people that just love to be BS'd. And I disagree with them as a, idealistic teenager. No, Dad, people want to be told the truth. No, they don't. Well, there are still a lot of us that want to be told the truth and can see through the BS immediately. Everybody knew that the border wasn't secure. Everyone knows a man can't be a woman because a man says so. And there are very few people that actually believe in identity politics where they judge people by groups and not individuals, which is the racism of the Democratic Party. Let's get blunt as to what the problems are. And when it comes to spending and spending and spending, we now know what it can do because we saw inflation that we're still not out of today.
Right.
And one of the problems on the economic issues for Republicans right now is the BS we're being thrown on prices. Prices are not going down. They're going down occasionally on some things, but they're not going down on the public knows it. That's why Trump's lowest numbers, where he's underwater the biggest, is on the economy.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
Don't Dean Werner said in The Outlaw Josie Wales to the senator, Senator, don't pee down my back and tell me it's water.
Right. I think Dr. Phil also said that a few times.
Did he?
Don't pee down my back and tell me it's raining.
Well, and that's why we've warned the Republicans about spending and warned Trump about it. Don't sit there, and they stopped doing it. You don't see them doing it any longer. We said, stop it. Stop telling people that your economy is a great success because you're taxing American corporations billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it. They really haven't done it the last month, have they?
No, they haven't. It seems like everybody right now on the tariff thing, on the pricing thing, is on hold, waiting for SCOTUS to act on tariffs.
Yeah,
maybe that's just me, but I've been thinking that's been in my brain. That's my perception since we learned basically that they were going to hear it, and that we would probably get a ruling sometime at the end of the year, maybe early 26.
Well, that's the worst economic statement that the Trump administration has put out there. Do you know how rich we're becoming because we're taxing American corporations?
Nobody feels rich.
Right. Well, sorry.
Aside from Elon Musk.
Sorry, but the biggest BS, again, coming from Trump was that foreign corporations and foreign countries paid the tariffs. Bessert contradicted him consistently, with Trump never saying anything.
Yeah.
Trump still occasionally will come out and say that foreign countries pay the tariffs. They don't.
I think Bessent said it last week, too.
Yeah, he says it over and over
that
again.
Would be a total of 3 times that this falls on the importer. And saying that if it was reversed, that goes back, I don't know, that goes back several weeks. But if it's reversed, that we're going to owe those importers, that the government, the Treasury would owe those importers money. What do you say, up to $1 trillion?
Yeah, but it's that kind of BS that will lose you an election.
Yeah.
We saw when you didn't pay attention, when Democrats didn't pay attention to inflation, it bit back at them, and it bit back at them big time.
Well,
when they said, it's actually inflation is good because it shows people are spending more money.
And you can only stay quiet about it for so long because the problem's not going away. My wife goes to do a little bit of shopping just for she was cooking like 2 different meals on Sunday. And she comes home and says, now you get this tiny little, and this doesn't fall on the administration, the beef shortage and everything that's going on there. There was a lot going into that, but it doesn't matter. You get ownership in that. People are looking for you to do something about it if you're in power. That's just the way it works. Now, my wife doesn't do that because she's, she looks at it. She knows what's going on with the beef shortage. She actually comes from a ranching family, and we understand how the beef shortage works. But then she adds on to it, okay, I bought this 1 tomato, and it was, this price, and it was, I bought 4 peaches, and it was this expensive. And for us, where we are in our lives at our age, we look at it and say, how are people going to be able to afford to pay rent, to eat, feed their families in the future if nothing changes here? And that's the mindset. Families are struggling right now. They're underwater. They have been for a while now. Mm-hmm. It's years they've been underwater because the growth in wages aren't keeping up with inflation. And also the prices on, again, something you focused on, and that is the things we actually buy.
That's what we did yesterday when we looked at the inflation numbers. I didn't check. Why was the Bureau of Labor Statistics?
I don't know.
I'll have to check on that. Why
Because
were they able to
typically
put out
the data and
numbers?
everything doesn't, it's
Right.
on hold.
But that number came out, and it was, again, 3%. And the administration, this is wonderful.
Right.
And it's like, stop telling people that inflation is wonderful. Don't do that.
Because, again, this is something that we've been saying for years, too. We said it during the Biden years. We've already, this goes back, this is last month's data. The consumers already paid that. The consumers paying this every day. They don't care about the BLS data. They don't care. They don't care. Nobody reads that. They read their receipt. That's it. Full stop. And you can only stay quiet if I'm right and everything's basically on hold and everybody's, they're just going to be quiet until SCOTUS acts. You can only stay quiet for so long. You can't lie to people. You can't promise something that's not going to happen. And you can only stay quiet for so long. I don't know where the party is, but we do know internally we have seen several GOP senators, when the whole bonds thing exploded, they went to the White House. They got with the president that night. The next morning, he had to act. Well, you're still dealing with a situation right now where all of your constituents, everybody, is dealing with pricing. It's affecting everybody to some degree, and that has to change.
Well, that's how we went through the things that people actually buy. That's way over 3% over the last year.
Yeah.
And you look at things like, it's tough for people to afford new cars, but then you see what it costs to repair vehicles, up almost 12% over the past year, and that's on top of everything we've seen over the last 5 years. And we went through the food items that people buy, coffee skyrocketing. That's something people notice,
Right.
Because they buy coffee every day, and it's those things. You cannot, again, tell people that something is great when they don't view it's great.
Right.
And it's a lesson that this administration, I don't believe, has learned from from what the Democrats didn't learn in the last cycle. It's the one thing, with all the wonderful things that Trump is doing, it's the one thing that can take down everything.
Right.
And there may be a concern now, which is why they stopped promoting the fact that we're becoming so rich, we're taxing American companies so incredibly much that we're all becoming rich, and this is a wonderful thing. And you'd see, as I call them, the 30-something influencers that support him no matter what. This is great. We're becoming rich. See, all the experts were wrong. We're becoming a rich country because we're taxing Americans. And you go, well, what experts were saying that this...
I don't feel rich.
Who is... I don't know what experts were saying that out there on it. It's simply prices matter to people. And if you're going to do it, and he's done it at times. At times, you can go, look, there's going to be some, but you've got to throw out that message consistently. But when you've had, as we said, 4 years of inflation, and some of your policies, the deregulation, all that helps. But the tariffs, which you own, nobody else owns that. Nobody else owns that except you. And in some cases, for correct reasons. In other cases, for completely the wrong reasons. But the fact is, you own it.
Yep.
And to say that prices won't go up, and to say that American companies won't be affected or won't be taxed, and only the foreigners were going to pay for it, which was not true, and then brag about that's the success of the program, is the taxes on American companies, is what is the most incredibly tone-deaf thing from a politician like Trump, who normally isn't tone-deaf on these things.
Well, that's
so much of what he ran on was not, and it's completely tone-deaf.
And the promise on pricing is one of those that you're not going to ever be able to keep anyway, because inflation at target rates is still going to be 2%.
Right.
True deflation's only happened during the Great Depression. So being realistic about it, what do you have to do? Well, the idea is you got to get wages up. How do you do that? A situation where companies are competing for laborers. Now, that's a problem for a number of reasons. Technology is a big part of that. I don't know what the ultimate impact of AI is going to be, but we're seeing some of that right now, but it doesn't matter. The government's going to, there is an expectation, unrealistic on pricing, but it doesn't matter. You own it if you make the promise. Once you take that on, you make that promise. And the only real solution to that is to create a situation, an economy where wages are growing faster or higher than inflation. And we're not there.
866-90 Red Eye.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Gardeners, getting the garden ready for overwintering and in good shape for next spring? What are some things to consider? Cynthia Domangini of Kansas State University Extension offers advice, starting with,
if you have a large area, consider looking at cover crops. Some cover crops can be planted early fall time. That's a great way to protect your soil through the winter and contribute nutrients back into the soil for your spring planting.
Then there are the basic fall prep tips for getting a garden ready for overwintering to keep in mind.
Start cleaning up plant debris to prevent overwintering diseases and pests. If you would like to grow bulbs, planting those in the fall is important to get them to bloom in the spring. Some people have good intentions and they buy the bulbs, but they don't get them in the ground in time and they miss out on that spring blooming.
I'm Ron Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I was looking at some of the stuff Jonathan Turley was saying about, and we'll get to it, about Jeffrey saying that the 300 and what is it, the hundreds of billions of dollars they want for subsidies are not spending. And then I just caught some of the other stuff that Turley has wrote the last couple of days. Just when you thought our political dialogue could not become more reckless, Representative Eric Swalwell demanded a litmus test for any Democratic presidential nominee. You must pledge to bulldoze the $350 million Trump ballroom. So now leaders are now focused on performative demolitions as a pitch for voters.
Right.
While Miley Cyrus rode the wrecking ball to success, it is doubtful that Swalwell can ride the rage to relevance in politics.
Yeah.
And you and I, we had fun with this last night because we imagined all the Democrats, 17 of them again,
Right, on the stage.
on the debate stage again, being asked that question, will you pledge
to demolish Trump's new ballroom?
And everybody's, yay!
Yes, I
Everybody's-
will. I'll do it day one. I'll do it during the transition. Wait, what? You can't do that.
Day one.
Yeah.
Day one, the ballroom comes down.
That's right. Oh, my gosh. In fact, I refuse to move into the White House. Where are you going to live? I don't know. A tiny home. I mean, seriously. You know, a van. I'm living in a van. Van life. First van life president. Oh, my gosh. Also a YouTuber. Hey, y'all click that subscribe button and don't forget to leave a comment.
Oh, speaking of the insanity, I mean, what in the world has happened in the last couple of days? I mean, I know Kamala Harris said, well, I'm not necessarily out of politics yet.
Yeah,
and all of a
right.
sudden I see on social media the one hot ticket that the Democrats are hoping for,
Yeah.
Harris Buttigieg.
No, that's it.
And I'm thinking to myself, Where the hell did this come from?
Yeah, well, because what poll was it? New Hampshire that he did well in. But it's like it's a little early. Well, remember the last time he went to Iowa a few months ago? It was like clearly he was running, and I knew that because he had rolled his sleeves up, literally. That's the sign, right? You might as well just put on your sleeves, I'm running. It's,
And Newsom's running.
Yeah.
And sounds like Steve Martin in The Idiot. I was born poor,
Yeah.
and it's just like, you weren't born poor.
Right, yeah.
Catch Red Eye Radio live every night on the Red Eye Radio app, available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. Meanwhile, on The View.
Oh, great.
Actress Ellen Pompeo was on, and I'm just going to play it because I'm not really sure what in the world she's talking about.
Okay.
And I hope they look at themselves and ask themselves, we all should ask ourselves, why do we look at something and at face value make a judgment about it? I think we do that as human beings, and I think we all need a lot more empathy right now, and so I hope we take that away. I mean, why are old white men the only ones who are allowed to be felons?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What?
I don't even know. It's like, it really is liberalism now. Look, let's just speak and make no sense, just be completely incoherent.
Yeah.
Why are white old men the only ones who are allowed to be felons? I don't know what that means.
What? I'm an old white guy. I'm not a felon.
Neither am I. And one of my goals is not to be a felon.
Well, if
just
they're looking for greater equity in the felony realm, there is opportunity. I don't encourage that. I would say, don't become a felon. You shouldn't want to become a felon.
But I believe there is ample opportunity
You can.
in this nation to become a felon if you wish to.
Yes. You can become a felon. If it's your dream to be if you grew up wanting to be a felon, you can.
And you can do so.
I mean, I wouldn't.
And remember, there are people that do.
Oh,
I mean, they've been in the news recently.
yeah. Right.
Certain families in New York City.
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you, I was watching this documentary. I was telling our production crew, there's a documentary on Netflix about the Philadelphia mob thing, and there's one guy in there that was just a hitman. He goes, and I saw this. I've seen this before in other documentaries. Hitmen for the mob. I just killed the guy. Yeah, I put a drill through his head. Yeah, and they just matter-of-factly that's just who I am. And then one guy, I shot this guy, and it was the wrong guy, and, that happens.
Or when they would talk,
What?
when they talk matter-of-factly, so we shot him, and then we had to, dismember him in the basement.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, we threw him in the river.
and then I went and had a sandwich.
Yeah, right.
And that's when I realized I did not want to be that kind of a felon.
Well,
Because murder is, and some comedian said this, I forgot, murder is really a hell of a lot of work, especially if you're going to hide the body.
you really got to work at it,
Right.
and you got to be pretty angry, or just a lunatic. I mean,
Well, for most mobsters, there really isn't a lot of long-term financial planning.
There's not a lot of long-term planning to begin with.
Yes.
You strive. This is what I gather from it. I could be wrong. You work really hard to officially become a mobster, and from that point on, it's like ready, go. It's like you're the fox, and that's when the hunt starts. Right then, the moment you're sworn in, made, however it happens. I don't know, what the rituals are. But the moment you're officially in, it's ready, go. And there's people on horses with guns behind you, and you're the fox running through the forest. I would say, no, that's not a job I'd like to do.
It was fascinating, though, just over the last 48 hours, watching all the ex-mobsters talk about the NBA and gambling and everything else, and they're all like, why is everybody surprised? And then some of these anchors, we didn't even know the mob existed anymore. You mean there's a mob? And you go, well, of course there's a mob. And what they learned was that, I can't think of the one guy's name, the one guy that was in the New York mob. He was the one that had the gas station one. Oh, he's got a podcast. I've actually watched the podcast, and he's found God. And
on that Philly show that I watched, the one about the Philly mob, there was one guy that said, he goes, all of these rats, I would never be a rat, but all these rats, now they got podcasts. They're telling the whole world.
Michael,
it makes a good point.
Is it Michael Franzione?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, his father was also in the mob.
Yeah.
Too, but he was they were all just, all the ex-mobsters on all their podcasts.
Right. Yeah.
And none of them are named the Rat Podcast.
Right. The Rat.
But they were just, the mob learned from people like Gotti.
Mm-hmm.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Don't be flashy.
Well, the thing is, you don't want to make the news. When you make the news, then the public is afraid. When the public is afraid, what you want to be is the mobster that hands out all the turkeys on Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving. You want to be that mobster, the popular mobster.
Right.
The one everybody loves and hugs and everything else, even though they're, of course, murderers.
Or like in that, by the way, I had to do a voiceover for that independent mockumentary that I've only just done something for the trailer on, but the one scene that I was in, because they're combining the movie they were doing with the mockumentary, the one scene that I was actually in about a year and a half ago, that was the mobster was having a Christmas party.
Yeah, right.
And I was allowed in as the Irish mobster.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I'm not sure. I think I'm a mole.
Oh. Okay.
I think I'm a mole. I'm not, because it's not an Italian mob. It's not an Italian mob, but
not much of a difference between a mole and a rat.
But Sal has accepted me. But the best thing is, because he has sent me a couple of the trailer stuff, a couple of things I do. I look at it and go, it's Gary McNamara. It's not a mobster.
Right.
I look at it like,
nobody's going to buy that.
I'm like, nobody's going to buy it. I go, wait a minute. Why do I buy it from other people who do it? And I go, who else? Let me see. And I go, well, what's his name? Rick Dees always acted as himself, though.
Yeah.
But what's his name? Carla's husband on Cheers. Can't think of the goalie. Remember the hockey goalie?
Oh, yeah.
That was what's his name? He was in L.A. radio for the longest time, and he pulled it off. And I heard him on the radio, and so. But I look at it. I don't buy any of it. I'm like, why does he buy me as any type of actor or mobster?
Yeah,
because it's.
Well, there are a few real actors that for me that are actually good at disappearing into the role, as I say, where, I mean, most of them it's like, okay, I'm watching that actor. I'm just going to watch that actor in that movie. But you get into, certain, what's his name that played Batman in several of the movies, and he was in, the machinist. Oh, I'm just blanking on his name. But that kind of acting where you forget you're watching them in the in that role. You're watching the character.
You know, as for me, and for people that don't know, there's just an independent mockumentary that I've been invited and done a couple of trailers and a couple of, short things for a future fake mob mockumentary where I'm an Irish mobster.
Yeah, Christian Bale's who I was talking about. Yeah,
By the name of Shamrock.
Yeah.
You know what it is? I would look at me a little bit differently if they had me in a role where I was different, but they have me explaining, like in a mockumentary, what it was like to be in the mob, and so I'm laughing and joking. If there was a scene where I'm killing somebody and I'm enraged, I might be able to buy it a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But I just see me talking, and I don't buy it at all.
Yeah, right.
That's just me talking.
Well, what was interesting, you watch these documentaries and you see this footage, that's from surveillance, FBI surveillance. And it's like, they don't really not all of them look that important, right? Then they were talking about this one guy who was the hitman, the aforementioned hitman I was talking about, one of them. He was shot in the back of the head and said, "What did you do, hit me with a hammer?" The bullet ricocheted off his head. He turns around, they shoot him in the chest. He wrestles the gun away. They take out a knife and try and stab him. He grabs that and attacks the two guys trying to kill him and lives. Shot twice, stabbed a few times, and they're the ones that ended up in bad shape.
I guess that's possible. The angle of the gun, if the bullet hits your skull, it could bounce.
He said,
deflect off your skull.
I think, and I read this. I had to look it up, but there was, the surgeon was saying, he was, or the doctors were saying, well, he, was very fortunate to have a thick skull. He actually just, which, by the way, if there's ever a situation and you need cover, hide behind my head.
Well, then
seriously,
what's his name? The what's Richard Kuklinski, the Iceman.
Oh, yeah.
That story.
Yeah.
Where he left the guy in the cave with rats.
Yeah. Right. No, they have a demented mind.
This guy's so sadistic
it's not
and evil.
Normal. You
just can't. You actually, it's so incredibly evil that you can. You tell the story and you chuckle because you can't believe somebody would do that.
Well, because you're led. The only conclusion you can come to is that they get enjoyment from it.
Yeah, he also took the cyanide and just sprayed it at some guy.
Yeah,
walking down the street, sprays.
Yeah,
little spray bottle. Boom, you're dead.
That's KGB stuff, man.
Yeah, I know. But he ended up in prison.
Yeah.
But the interview, I think it was HBO did the interview of him, and you watch it, and you're just like, holy crap.
Yeah. Right. No, it's as if they really enjoy it, coming up with new ways to hurt or kill people. That's a demented brain.
How you can disassociate yourself, because I know even in self-defense, if I ever took a human life, I'd be questioning it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, there would have to be.
Could I have done it differently? Even if my brain was saying you did the right thing, there's still a part of me that would always question it.
I have a friend who led a SWAT team, and he had to take out a bad guy. And he, through his church, very involved in his church, has received, counseling, but told me that he believes he's, and a lot of police officers have to go through that. And it was justified and everything else, that, everything was on the up and up. But you still pray for the family of the person because it is a human.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a friend of mine. I talked about it when it happened. A friend used to listen to the show all the time and was a police officer in the town that I worked in and would listen to us. And one time I'm driving home and I get pulled over by the cops. I figured it was him. He knew my car and it wasn't. I'm like, oh, it's not. Yeah. But he in self-defense, completely cleared, 14-year-old kid pulled a gun on him, he had to kill him.
Yeah.
And he told me, I said, he allowed me to ask questions one time. He said, yeah, he goes, I don't remember, but I was over him screaming at him.
Yeah.
Over the body.
Oh, yeah.
So he never got over it. Never got over it. He died in a vehicle accident by himself. But he had PTSD,
sure,
alcohol problems after that. I don't think he ever got over it.
Right. Yeah.
But
yeah.
866-90 Red Eye.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90 Red Eye.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Swalwell, and I'm Gary McNamara. So here's one for you. I mean, here's part of the BS that we're talking about. Jonathan Turley writes this. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is now claiming that extending Obamacare subsidies is not additional government spending. That is the $350 billion of money spent but not counted. I would not recommend this new math in managing your credit card account.
Yeah.
Trying to tell your accountant that you are not really spending on items because you're just renewing ongoing payments. By Jeffrey's logic, these are just $350 billion zombie dollars, neither living nor dead, as new expenditures. Keep in mind that this is a sunset provision to end these subsidies set by the Democrats. These were pandemic subsidies for healthcare system that sponsors insisted would lower healthcare costs and pay for itself.
Yeah. Wow.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.